All right, hello and welcome. Gillman, I'm joined by...
The Squall Snake, editor-in-chief of MyGamer.com, also known as Zackgaz, Z-A-C-K-G-A-Z on Twitter. And today we are playing the PC version of the latest Shiren game because it released on Switch, and we streamed the Switch version when that first came out earlier this year in 2024, I think it was. Maybe like February or something, I want to say. And it just recently launched on, just last week, I think it was, on PC. And not only did it launch on PC, it launched on PC with all new paid DLC. And we're playing that right here today.
The DLC's not new. It also existed on the Switch version.
And yeah, and also there was a ton of quality of life features added to the Shiren game, as well as free DLC. There was like
a year of free DLC. It was really impressive.
Yeah. So I mean, that just goes to show, like, here's a game developer, a game that believes in their game enough to keep
and it's kind of
supporting
funny because like it's been a while since the last Shiren game, so I was like really excited when I heard this was coming out.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and we streamed the Switch version. We really liked the Switch version, and so to come up with to support the game with just adding some quality of life features, making the game just better, free DLC, and then here's a nice paid DLC pack. Really cool to see, and I know Shiren has its fans. We're fans. Your review just went live on the site today at the time of the stream, so
yeah, it was basically just the entire thing singing its praises.
Singing its praises, yeah, and it's it played well on Switch, and and it plays well here.
It plays amazing on PC, yeah. I've always been a huge Shiren fan. I had played lots of Shiren mystery dungeon games beforehand. So like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is technically in the universe. The Dragon Quest dungeon stuff, that's in, it's Mystery Dungeon, Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon. Like, all of that stuff is in universe. Not in universe, but like, it's kind of part of the overarching Shiren experience.
You were saying that this paid DLC is, do you have to beat the game to unlock it, or is it just unlocked from the start?
It's not. I don't believe it's unlocked from the start. But it's a bunch of like additional dungeons. They might unlock from the start. I know certain parts of it don't.
Okay. Is it as if there wasn't enough Shiren already in Shiren?
Oh yeah. And then, like, when you beat a dungeon, you can play through it with, like, trials and stuff like that, and extend the length of the dungeons and all of that fun stuff. And right now I'm playing through it with an additional character who's in the base game, but I'm going through one of the challenge dungeons with...
So I'm reading it here. So the 10 new dungeons will be added to the adventures of Shiren and his companions on Serpentcoil Island. In addition, you can play as Sacred Tree, as Shiren's partner Hopa, and the swordsman Asuka.
Yep.
Here we go. You must progress through the story of the main game, Shiren the Wanderer, in order to unlock these gameplay elements. So yes, you do have to play through the game. Got it. Okay.
This is one of the more accessible soundtrack too. Shiren games. So if you ever wanted to get into one, 6 is the one to do. It's
good
easier.
It's easier, but the Shiren games, it's a turn-based dungeon crawler. You move and then the opponent moves at the same time. But what's always impressed me about the Shiren games is right here, like, so many items. Like, not only do you get so many items in the Shiren games, they want you to use the items too. I feel like a lot of these dungeon crawlers, even RPGs in general, the stigma is like, oh, I don't want to use this potion, I don't want to use this spell because I'm going to run out of them. Like, No, you're gonna like use them in Shiren, like use them almost immediately because there's gonna be another one in the next room. You know, like there's this ton
yeah,
of.
and if you don't use your items, you die.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you don't use your items, you're going to die because that's kind of just what this game is. But there's so many items, and I think that's part of the learning process with Shiren, because you kind of have to realize, like, oh, this item is good for this scenario. I didn't know this item exists. This is the first time I got it. There's just so many different items with variations. That's what I think makes Shiren appealing, is the item use. I think it's kind of the unsung hero. This is just so exactly. And then I know there's like the scrolls or whatever they call them, you know, where you could cast like, you know, kind of like one-time spells, or you could like all that stuff is, you know, it's one of those things that I learned when I started playing Shiren. Is like, I'm getting my ass kicked, and I was like, oh, I just need to start using my items, because at one point I had like 1 million items in my inventory just sitting there, and I was just attacking guys like an idiot. I was like, I'm going to start using this stuff. And as soon as I started using all the items, I was like, oh, that's what I was doing wrong. Now I get it.
Yeah, but that is to say, like, it is also a roguelike, so, you know, you can get screwed pretty bad on runs.
And you never know what you're going to get. That's the whole point of a...
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the entire point, and it's infinitely replayable.
I'm always like, you know what, I'm probably not going to get this item again. I'm just going to use it now because it's going to save that precious HP that you're going to need, because you don't know what's going to come in the next room.
Nope, turned it. Cool, revival crap. Don't, you fucker.
Mm-hmm.
Enemies can burn stuff in this. If you get hit with a fire attack, it grills your food, which sucks because you can get food with like special effects and stuff. So if you're like saving that for another reason or something, it removes that and just turns it into grilled onigiri. Yeah, so...
Do you get less HP if it's grilled, or does it actually help certain foods if it's cooked?
I believe it'll... Like, if one of your onigiri is rotten, I believe it will just turn it into a fried one, which is huge. Because, like, the rotten ones, I think they remove hit points. And they only give you like 10 fullness, which the fullness is basically a timer of how long you have before you have to exit the dungeon. Previous ones, you could like stock up on food and stuff, and they would actually have a time limit on the dungeon that they would boot you out if you spent too much time on one level. I haven't seen anything like that in this one.
This stage that you're playing here, you got to get to level sub-basement
31,
10?
There's a boss.
Oh, 31.
This is the story dungeon. So it's not super difficult. It's one of the easier things to run through. And I'm doing it with an optional character, so all of the towns and stuff have been removed.
Another thing about the Shiren games is I like the fast pace of play. Like, even though you got to get to level, dungeon 31, it's not going to take you 31 minutes to get there. Like, you can fly through a stage if you just find the stairs to go down. Now, here's like a shop, so you might want to, see what he has for a little bit. But it's fast because it's a rogue, so you're going to die, and you don't want to get too discouraged, and you don't want to lose too much time. So it's one of those games that is a faster pace of play game, which I appreciate. So when you die, it's not like a huge end of the world, huge disappointment.
See, that's what's the real disappointment, though, is when you put down all of this stuff and you're like, yeah, I'm going to make a ton of money. And they're like, I'll give you $100. At that point, it's just like, son of a bitch. But we got this for early access review, and I've played an absolute ton of it.
I know you played it for dozens and dozens of hours on Switch.
Yeah, and it was funny because you, I got it a little while ago, and you messaged me, and you're like, yeah, you know, how's that going along? And I'm like, oh, I beat the game, and you're like, you've had it for literally 20 hours. Like,
Yeah,
and
the game like just came out, and you're like,
it
yeah,
hadn't even come out.
wow.
Yeah, it was a review copy, so.
I was like, how is that even like, you've just only been playing Shiren since we got the early access, the early review press code.
Yes, that is correct.
That's crazy. The dedication.
I really like Shiren. Yeah, but any more questions for me about anything?
Glad to see that Shiren has made the jump to PC. I feel like it should do well on PC. I think it's also kind of weird that it was only released on Switch. Like the previous version, the previous game was on Vita.
Yeah.
And PC, but it wasn't on. I think it also came out on Switch, if I'm not mistaken. But like
recently.
Recently. But it didn't. It's never been on. I don't think it's been on like PS4, PS5, new Xbox. Like it's definitely not on Xbox.
It is a very, very niche title.
I mean, it's even weirder because when here's a niche game on the Vita, which is, a unique, niche console as well.
I don't believe it launched on the Vita.
No, it didn't launch on the Vita, and I forget the name of the previous Shiren game, but the Tower Dice of something, something.
Dice Tower of Fortune, I believe.
Yes, Tower Dice. Yes. That's another thing with Shiren games.
It contained those words
usually
in
really
it.
long titles.
Oh, they
really
always
long
do.
Names.
So that was originally released on 3DS, but not in America.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Shiren, we didn't get the original one until the DS. The original Shiren came out on the Super Nintendo.
And there was even an N64 version.
Yeah, I don't think we got that.
No, we never did that. That was Japan only for sure.
Yeah.
There's one on GBA too, in Japan only, if I'm not mistaken.
There is only one in. Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of Shiren if you look for it, but the ones that have been officially released here, not a lot.
No. There was one on the Wii that I actually
there is one
randomly found in a GameStop.
Yeah. Was that the first Shiren proper game to be released?
The DS one was.
DS. Okay,
I would have to look that up though.
They're because DS and the Wii were out right at the same time, so one probably came out, a year within each other, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that the success of the DS one is sort of what propelled a lot of the stuff. But I mean, there's still been Shiren games we haven't gotten. So this one's more accessible because basically from the beginning of the game, if you have good equipment and you lose it in a dungeon, you're able to buy it back. That's awesome because, so I died when I had like a extremely high level, like plus 80 to an evolved shield. The problem is that they want 120,000 gold for it. So it gets real expensive. Fucking hell. So this is a challenge
for you. Yeah.
It's only 5 floors, and it gets increasingly difficult. Like it does not scale normally. Like both of those enemies are typically ones that you'd see in like maybe around level 10. And that was level 1. Yeah, this is literally supposed to be, you have a shield when you start, and it's fuck.
Sometimes you get some HP back if you just walk back and forth.
You do, yeah, but it depletes your hunger.
Okay, but it depletes, you got it. And then you always have the chance of an enemy, coming after you.
Yeah, you will always gain HP back for walking, unless you're out of break off blade. Unless you are completely out of hunger, appetite. I don't know how to refer to it. Fuck.
So here's a nice shiny thing. Go click on that.
Yeah, right.
And then here's a nice enemy to.
Oh, and those are like kind of the worst enemies to run into.
Yeah, you just barely survived that. What's this guy up to? The knockback staff.
Fuck you!
It's a good effort.
Yeah. So that's Shiren. You got any questions?
Yeah. So that's the new Shiren game. Just wanted to give a quick taste of that again because it's now available on PC. Like we said, we streamed the Switch version, many months ago. You can go check out that stream, but. This is more of the same, which is a good thing. So it's on Steam. All the DLC is there. You can even download the soundtrack if you want on Steam. That's also available. And then you could follow us at mygamer.com. Go there, put us in your favorites. We are covering the games that nobody else is covering, kind of like Shiren right here that you're watching. And you can check me out on Twitter at ZachGaz, ZACKGAZ. And until next time, thank you for watching and game on.